dear me. Oh dear. Stay. No, are you done here? Okay. Right, we're good to go. Okay, first things first. I just finished Circe by Madeline Miller, this month's book of the month from mythtake. Secondly, it's like 29 degrees. Deal with this messy hair and no makeup. I am dying in this heat. So thirdly, I haven't been vlogging my reading process for this, and that's partly because I don't know, I don't want to film again, but I didn't want to not make a vlog. And Ashley had said to me like, oh, if you don't want to vlog, don't do that. But I kind of feel that, not that I have to, but that I should, if that makes sense, because, you know, I do co-host mythtake, so I had to make something for Circe. So we're just having a very sit-down, discussion-y chat thing about the book. And the other reason why I didn't vlog is because I started it yesterday and then I finished it today. So I read this in 2 days. There wasn't a lot of vlogging to be done. But yeah, let's just talk about Circe. So I have given it 3 out of 5 stars because I don't really think that it deserves all the hype. Controversial, I know, and especially because it's one of Ashley's favourite books. But I reread Song of Achilles at the start of this month, and like, I adore that book. I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars, and I think that's kind of why I'm a bit disappointed by Circe. So I just kind of want to talk about that, I guess, because there is something about Madeline Miller's writing that I don't think worked for this. Some people will say that it did, but I personally feel that it didn't work for me personally. I'll put it that way. It didn't work for me with this type of story, and that's because there's no plot to this. It's a story. I was going to say, because it's not a story, there is no story, but it is. It's the story of Circe and her life. But I don't like character-driven stories that much, especially if I'm not a huge fan of the character. And I didn't actually like Circe this much. There was a lot of discussion going on in our Discord for this book, mostly because I started it and I was just like, I'm not really feeling this. I just like to stir the pot a bit and be like, lol, don't like it. I know you guys loved it. But I like to get that discussion going. It's more interesting to me when you've got like clashing opinions and stuff, rather than just going like, oh yeah, I loved it, me too. Like, I'd rather talk about, oh, you liked it, here's why I didn't, and that's what we were doing. So the reason I feel that this didn't work is because it's character driven, and I don't like that, so it's a personal thing. But it just felt very meandering, I guess, and not even in a good way. Like, oh yeah, we're taking our time to get there. It was just kind of, there is no plot, we're not really sure where we're going, so we're just gonna meander. And hey baby, and like, I didn't really like Circe as a character. I didn't like her in the first half of the book. I thought she was a bit whiny and meek and pathetic, really, and very like, oh no, nobody likes me, oh, no, no, no. And I was just like, you can do that in a character, but you can do it in a way that is likeable. You can do it in a way where a character isn't strong as such and is still quite, like, not present. I can't think of the word. Like, when someone is, I don't want to say meek, but I mean like meek. When someone is just letting everyone else around them do everything. Quite passive, I guess, is a word that you could describe it. That was awful. I'm sorry. It's hot. My brain is mush. But yeah, she came across as just a bit spineless and whiny and almost like a bit of a hero god complex type thing, where she was like, oh, I want everyone to love me and I want to be the best and stuff, but she wasn't really doing anything and nobody did like her, and she was a bit like, well, why don't they? And then she got caught up on helping Prometheus when all she did was give him a drink, and she's just like, well, I helped him, and oh, I wish I could have done more. And it's like, shut up, just shut up, I don't like you. So I wasn't keen on her from the start, and then I felt that the poor writing and poor handling of the situation came in, because I'll say spoiler warning but also trigger warning, there's a rape scene in this. I'm sure if you are familiar with Circe, you probably assume there is some kind of assault going on, and you know, that's why she turns men into pigs, because men are pigs in her story. But she is assaulted, and after that, that's when she kind of becomes the strong character. And this is where all my issues come from, and we had a big discussion about how my viewpoint contrasts other people's in the book club, because a lot of people have seen it as her kind of growing from that and kind of it bringing out the true her, I guess. I can't really word it the best because, like I said, I didn't find that, so maybe just like ask Ashley or one of the other people who did like it. But I felt it was more of a something bad has to happen to her in order to act as a catalyst. I felt that her assault was a catalyst for her growing and being better, and I didn't think that she was better. I just don't agree with the way that that was done and the way that was handled, especially when you contrast it to one of our earlier books, Daughter of the Forest, and the rape scene in that, because Circe was very, I don't like using the word strong, but for argument's sake we're just going to say strong, and she was strong and herself before this. She had all of the good and the bad qualities and the things that made you like her as a character, and then she was assaulted. I'm attached to my plants, great, ow. And then she was assaulted and she didn't really change as a person. The only thing that really changed about her was her attitude towards men, which is completely understandable because they're the ones who assaulted her, and that wasn't the way things came across in Circe. Yes, her attitude towards men did change, but so did she, and I don't think that trauma should be a catalyst for change. I am very aware that that can happen and that people can go through horrific things and then change as a person afterwards. I get that these things happen, but it just didn't seem authentic in Circe. Can this plant stop? In this, it just kind of felt that, oh look, we've done something bad and now she's strong, and no, you can be strong without that. You could have been strong before that, but instead you were a bit pathetic and now suddenly something bad happened to you and you're this badass female, and I don't think she was. I get that this is like a feminist retelling, but I didn't really get any feminist vibes from it, and I don't know whether that's just because I wasn't that invested in it, but it just didn't seem genuine to me, and it's very difficult for me to explain. And a lot of people say like, oh, she's so badass and stuff, and she did this and she created a monster and blah blah blah. Yes, she did, but some of these things were indirect and not actually because of her, and I just don't think she's this figure that everyone's making her out to be. And then I don't necessarily feel that like the feminist approach that this took was the right one. There was still misogyny and sexism in this, however, for like the ancient Greeks and their gods and stuff, I didn't feel like it was enough. Like, there was competition between the nymphs and stuff, and like bullying and stuff, and obviously there was assault, and then a lot of the men were being crass and vulgar and inappropriate towards Circe and the other women, but I felt like it was all quite downplayed. And it's like, you only have to look at Zeus and the things that he did, all the bad stuff that Zeus did, and then you compare that to Circe and it just feels a bit mild in comparison. And I would have thought for like a feminist thing it would have gone all out and really called out the misogyny. So I don't know whether it took the opposite approach as like not wanting to focus on that so much. I don't know, I'm not an expert on feminism or being like a literary critic or anything, but those are just thoughts that I had. And yeah, I guess I'll just talk about Circe a bit now. I didn't like her. I said before that she was a bit weak, and then suddenly she's like, oh, she's come out of this trauma as someone completely different, and some people can like that and appreciate that, but I didn't, as I have just kind of tried to say. I just wasn't buying into the whole like, oh, I'm a witch, I'm a gardener, I've got my herbs and stuff. Like, I love witchy, magic-y things. Like, you only have to look at me playing Skyrim and playing as an elf and stuff, you know. I love all of that, but I just felt like she could have done more. It focused a lot on her plants and stuff, and I don't care for any of that. I say with this plant attacking me, but it's fake. I like nature as much as the next person, but I don't need a book that focuses on bloody gardening. And I know that that's not her character to be fighting, and, you know, like, she's not Athena. You know, we'll put it like that. She's not Athena. She's not a warlord or anything. But I wish she was. I wish she had done something. And it kind of, to me, felt a bit more... And again, we're getting into that, like, critique of the feminism part of it. It kind of felt the whole, like, oh, poison is a woman's weapon, it's weak and stuff. And I'm not being very coherent with this, but I wish that she had been a bit more masculine in some of her traits, because this is the problem that I have discovered. I like my strong female characters, and we're not going to get into that, I'm just using that because that's a term that we are all familiar with. I like my leading ladies to have more masculine traits. I like them to be like the Katniss Everdeens. I like them to be a bit cynical. I like them to be grumpy and miserable. I like them to wield a sword. I like them to do masculine things. And the most masculine thing about Circe was her arrogance. And some people in the book club were saying like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed that. I felt that she deserved it. And I don't feel that she did. I felt that she had a bit of a superiority complex, and when she went from being whiny, she turned into suddenly feeling like, oh well, I'm better than you, and like, I don't need you, I'm above you. And I hate arrogance. I hate it so much. And I'm going to start talking about Song of Achilles in a bit, but it just didn't work for this, or it didn't work for me in this, and I just didn't get along with that. I didn't like the way that it was written and portrayed, and I just feel like, what have you got to be arrogant about? Nothing. You've been banished, and like, what are you doing? You're doing nothing, basically. And I just got very frustrated with that. But I also just don't like the way Miller does arrogance in general, because Song of Achilles, oh my god, I hate Achilles. I think everybody hates Achilles because that boy, his arrogance is just unbelievable. It is out of this world. But I feel like he deserved it because he was doing stuff. He was the best of the Greeks. He was helping them win the Trojan War. He was the best of the best. He deserved it. He was going out there and killing people and winning wars and just being great, you know? Like, whether you like him or not, you can't dismiss his fighting ability and the fact that he has got like claims to his name. He has done stuff to warrant that. However, he just, oh my god, he's so frustrating, especially when it comes to like the end of the book and he refuses to fight, and then it ends up with Patroclus going and fighting as him and dying, and like, we're not, spoiler alert for Song of Achilles, Patroclus dies, but yeah, we're not talking about Song of Achilles. But Miller always writes arrogance into her books and her characters, and I don't like it. I don't like arrogance in real people. I don't like it from any other authors or creators, and I just don't think she does it well. So yeah, but then that also kind of brings me on to the writing, and she has a very slow kind of methodical writing, I guess, and it's not purple or flowery or anything. It's not anything like that. It's actually quite simple, and it's a really, really weird thing because it's very formal but simple, and I don't know, it just doesn't, I don't actually like it. I could get through Song of Achilles. Like, I gave Song of Achilles 5 stars both times I read it because I absolutely adore that story. But then we get to something like Circe where there is no story, there is no plot, I'm not invested in the characters, and I don't like the writing. I realise that it's not for me and that it's weird and a bit flawed. And I sound like I'm absolutely ripping this book to shreds, and I'm not, because I gave it 3 stars. But let me just get my negatives out of the way before we get into the positives, because there are some. Don't get me wrong. I did like it, I just didn't love it. And I think because it was so hyped and I was expecting to love it, I'm that much more critical about it. But back to the writing. With Song of Achilles, I think the plot really carried it, and because I loved that and there was so much action, and I just absolutely adored Patroclus, and his relationship with Achilles was just so sweet, and you really got to know them. You really felt like you were Patroclus and you were feeling for Achilles. It just was that, in that sense, like, the simplicity worked for that, because it was just, it wasn't any of this, oh, I can't even do flowery stuff. It was just kind of like, he's golden and he's glorious, and you just kind of go, oh yeah, he is, like, wow. But yeah, because there was no plot in Circe, I couldn't get on with the writing and stuff, and I don't know where I'm going with that. This vlog is a mess. Oh lord. I just kind of wanted to do this one when the thoughts were still fresh in my head, but maybe I should have waited and actually like written stuff down, because I'm just talking a load of crap. But we're this far in, it's fine. Thank you for putting up with me. We'll probably have a better vlog for next month's book. But anyway, moving into the positives of Circe, I really liked seeing all the myths in this. I was not expecting it to have Prometheus featured so heavily in the first like few chapters, and I love the story of Prometheus. It's probably one of my favourite myths, and I've never seen it in anything that's not Frankenstein, which is like a retelling in some ways, but this was just more of a laying it out and then retelling it, if that kind of makes sense. Like, it told you the details of Prometheus and then went into how Circe like helped him and stuff, and I really liked that. I also really liked seeing Odysseus. Odysseus was probably my favourite character in all of this. I haven't actually read the Iliad or the Odyssey yet, so I'm not sure if I will actually like him in like the proper works, but in this version I did really like him. I liked him in Song of Achilles. I just felt that he's very level-headed and down to earth, and especially in Song of Achilles when he kind of grounds Achilles and is the voice of reason and is the smart one and knows how to work everyone around them and like play the game, a bit like Game of Thrones, you know. It's like Sansa, I guess, in a way. It's like she's been at court, she knows the rules, she knows how to play the game. That's how I feel about Odysseus, and I just didn't get any of that from Circe, so that's why I'm a bit like, oh. But yeah, other than seeing all the other myths like retold and reimagined in this, I did like the fact that this was a female perspective of all these things. As much as I didn't like the female perspective, I liked that it was a female. If it had been another female, I probably would have enjoyed it more. For instance, Medea is mentioned in this, and she's kind of what I wanted from Circe. She was the kind of tough, not taking any shit from anyone kind of thing. Circe was just very meek and laid back, in my opinion, whereas Medea was a bit more aggressive, and I wish Circe had been like that, because everything that I've kind of like seen about Circe before reading the book, she has been a bit more aggressive and assertive. Yeah, I don't know, I know this is only like one person's take on it and there isn't a whole lot of stuff about Circe out there, but yeah, I don't know, it was disappointing, and I'm obviously disappointed because of that. I'm glad I reread Song of Achilles this month as well, because that helped me get through the Greek month, because I just expected so much more from this and I just don't get all the huge hype. It's good, but it's not great. I'm basically trying to say this book wasn't for me, and I'm going to stop that right here because I am a mess. I needed some fighting. I needed Circe to pick up a bow and arrow and, you know, fight alongside Artemis and Athena or something like that. I needed a book about Artemis or Athena, to be honest. You know, women that actually fight and do stuff physically, not the kind of more passive aspect of fighting. And I just didn't really care about the, like, domestic struggles and the struggles that Circe faced, which sounds really dickish of me, but I would rather see like a physical war struggle than anything else at the minute. I just need fast-paced books, and this one wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea. So thank you for sticking through this awful rambly discussion mess of a vlog. Let me know your thoughts if you've read Circe, and yeah, I will see you soon with another video that is hopefully a lot more coherent than this. Bye.